welcome to this latest episode of the Mufasa Sports Clubs. As you already know, please continue to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the videos or share it with your people. Let's make sure we continue on growing this channel. I appreciate the support that is continuous. Thank you so much again for your support. On today's show, we are going to be discussing the hiring of Mike Brown as the next New York Knicks coach, and we're gonna also go over the NBA frenzy, free agency frenzy that has been dying down in the past days. But we're kind of gonna go over the different transactions, the latest transactions that we didn't get a chance to talk about yet, and give our opinion on these trades and the moves that these different teams made in this offseason. Mike Brown, 2 times Coach of the Year and 4 times NBA champion as an assistant coach with the Golden State Warriors, gets hired by the New York Knicks to replace Tom Thibodeau. I think this is a very good signing for the Knicks. I think Mike Brown is the kind of coach that you would want in your organization. He is a coach that kind of handles the media pretty well, knowing that the Knicks front office doesn't really like dealing with the media. And on top of that, he's a very good coach. I love what he did with Sacramento, and didn't think it was fair for him to be fired when they started having these bad results a couple of months ago with Sac. I'm really happy for Mike Brown. He's a defensive mind coach who is really good at I'm saying, drawing up defensive schemes, and is really good in terms of offensive schemes as well, and fast. I think he's a coach who likes his teams to be playing super fast. I can remember him encouraging his players when he was in SAC to play as fast as possible, and I think he's gonna do a very good job with the Knicks, based off of what was done in Sacramento. But once again, it's a matter of time. He needs to have the time, and that's the only fear that I have for him with New York. The pressure that comes with a coach in New York, and the pressure of the results based off of what Tom Thibodeau has already accomplished, which is bringing them to the conference finals last season. So anything below that, especially with the East being so wide open, anything below that now becomes a failure. And does he get fired, or does the Knicks front office stay patient and try to build on the long run with him? That would be interesting to see the dynamic between him and Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, especially on the defensive end of the ball. If there's one thing that I know for sure, is that Mike Brown is going to demand from these guys to play defense, and play defense as hard as they can. So it's going to be interesting to see that, and what kind of changes he does bring in, especially not necessarily this summer, because I think the Knicks are pretty much done with their moves, unless there's some little tweakings that happen again. But it would be interesting to see the following season what he would be doing also if he remains the head coach of the New York Knicks. So congratulations again to Mike Brown for getting that job, and I'm excited to see what the Knicks hold in the future. Of course, I'm not wishing too well on them, with me being a Sixers fan, but it will be interesting to watch and see what he's able to accomplish out there with a pretty talented roster, to be honest. The winners of the NBA free agency so far, for me, would be the Atlanta Hawks, Houston Rockets, and the Denver Nuggets. I think these 3 teams have really positioned themselves for a great run next year in the NBA, and we're gonna go over each team's recent moves, and what influence that might have on their season. But I wanted to point these 3 teams out because I think that their front offices have done an excellent job at building most of the roster so far, and it's gonna be great to watch. I really have high expectations for these three teams. The Hawks, especially, also because of what's going on in the East right now, with Milwaukee being on uncertainty and Boston being pretty much punting on the season, and the Cavs, we're not sure what's gonna happen. Same with the Sixers. It's a wide open East, and Tyrese Halliburton just gets hurt, and Indiana is slowly but surely going downwards as well. It's gonna be interesting to see what the East is going to be. So I'm expecting some big things from the Hawks next season, especially with the moves that they've accomplished. As we've already discussed, the Kristaps Porzingis in our past video. On top of that, they now acquired Luke Kennard, who is a very good three-point shooter that they've acquired from the Memphis Grizzlies. I think he comes in and add on to this great core that the Hawks have already, and that shooting ability is gonna free up, Trae Young some more, because it was him and Zachary Ricochet that were the very good three-point specialists on that team. Now you get Luke Kennard, whether he's coming off the bench or starting, you get Trae Young another option on the wing or in the corner to knock down some three-point shots. So very good addition for the Hawks. I love that addition for them. And I specifically also love adding Nickeil Alexander-Walker from the Minnesota Timberwolves to this roster as well. He comes in, and you can see with these moves that the Hawks are making, they go in the route of the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder route with depth in the roster. You can see now from the moves that they're making that they're trying to have a 9-10 man rotation of very competent players who can play together and strive together for greatness. So I'm really loving that. Nickeil Alexander-Walker could be a point of attack defender. Can also play the three as a small forward a little bit. I'm loving that for them. He's bringing that defense on that roster, and it's gonna be great to see him, Dyson Daniels, who led the NBA last year in steals, Onyeka Okongwu as a big man. In terms of defense, it's really gonna be good to see what these guys are gonna be able to produce on the floor, especially with Kristaps Porzingis if he stays healthy, being a rim protector and staying down in the paint, protecting the rim out there. It's really a nice core that they have now with Luke Kennard, Kristaps Porzingis, Trae Young, Jalen Johnson coming back from injury with what he has shown before getting down last year. And you still get Okongwu, you get Ricochet in his second year, you still got Dyson Daniels, you get Mohamed Gay. It's a very nice core. Of course, Trae Young out there still running the show, and Asa Newell that they drafted as well, who I think will be pretty impactful in his first season as well with the Hawks. I'm loving this for them. I'm expecting big things for the Hawks this upcoming season, and these are really great moves that I'm loving for them. Great offseason so far, and kudos to the Hawks free agents front office for making these moves, and I'm really loving it for them. The Boston Celtics are continuing to basically shed some salaries and continue to make moves to have as much cap space as possible in the following season when Jason Tatum comes back. So you could see that they continue on to getting some either minimum to very little contracts or expiring contracts on the books this season. Besides Anthony Simons and George Niang, they got Luka Garza and Josh Minot from Minnesota, and you can see what they're doing again, like I was saying, by just adding these kind of players without necessarily saying we're not going to compete, but you could see that they're not gonna be super competitive this season, and they just trying to reset to be aggressive again in the following season when Jason Tatum comes back. So I totally agree with that move from Boston. It helps to save money. You get under the luxury tax, and you just navigate and develop the young players that you may want to keep on the roster. See what you got, and you just retool the game the following season when JT comes back. So nothing much to say there about the Boston Celtics per se. So I'm loving that for them. The Brooklyn Nets acquire Michael Porter Jr. In a trade for Cam Johnson going to Denver. Pretty much as we were expecting, with them having so much cap space this season, and after acquiring Terrence Mann already from the Hawks, this is a salary dump move that the Nuggets did, and the Brooklyn Nets basically adding some additional picks. They got a first round pick in this trade, so Michael Porter Jr. is definitely just gonna be able to, I'm sure, get as many shots as he wants there to try to reset his value, and maybe later on in the season, next season, try to move to another team after getting one more year under this difficult contract that he had to move. So it's gonna be a pretty difficult season for him. He's not expected to be winning anything anytime soon unless he gets traded again by the trade deadline. But this is just a salary dump move from the Denver Nuggets, and we're gonna get to their part of the trade later on in the video. But I love the move for both of them. The Nets are in a rebuild, so they're just gonna continue on developing the young players, and Michael Porter Jr. is gonna try to reset his value on the market so that he can be moved again in the future. He is a competent shooter who can contribute to a championship winning team, but he just needs to reset his value a little bit. So that's what I have on that end for Brooklyn. The Charlotte Hornets, same thing over here, rebuilding team. They get Mason Plumlee, who is a big that could definitely help them with Ryan Cockbrenner also that they drafted in terms of centers. So I like that for them. They re-signed Trey Mann and get Spencer Dinwiddie. Not much to say there about the Hornets. Next team that we're going over is the Chicago Bulls. Once again, I'm not sure what the Bulls are really doing. I think they're still doubting whether they should go for a full rebuild or if they should try to make a push. It's been like that for almost a decade now, and I think they should just go full rebuild, because you need that. It's either you need that superstar, and I know Kobe White is a great player, but I just don't think he has that superstar upside. And you basically acquiring players. They got Isaac Okoro from Cleveland, and I'm not sure what the move is here, honestly, because I would give every single bit of time to the younger guns out there right now, and just try to help them develop and build through the draft until you get a number one pick or a lottery pick that you could really continue building around. So I'm not sure if it's also the salary that is the issue, but Nikola Vucevic, I was expecting him to be out of the rotation and out of the team by now, but he's still on the Bulls. And the fact that they haven't really gotten a lot of picks back from the DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine trade, and now even Lonzo Ball leaving to Cleveland, there's no pick that they got back. You would think for a team that is probably on the verge of a full rebuild, or should have been rebuilding already, they would have gotten a whole lot of picks back for now. And that's what happens when you hold on to these players too much, and now the value decreases, and you can't even capitalize on them. So, Chicago Bulls, figure out what you're doing. I'm not sure what y'all doing there. So, that's about the Bulls. The Cleveland Cavaliers re-signed Sam Merrill to, I think, a $40+ million contract. Very well deserved. They get Larry Nance Jr. back in Cleveland, and also get Lonzo Ball. I like the Lonzo Ball move because he could be very good for them off the bench, and can also start for them at the moment because Darius Garland is gonna miss the first month of the season, I believe. So very good move for Cleveland here in terms of depth, and I'm just loving this for them. So definitely another team that you need to be looking out for in the East next season. The Dallas Mavericks on their end acquired D'Angelo Russell. D'Lo comes in. Love that move for the Mavs too because he's coming in to replace Kyrie Irving, who got his Achilles injury. Pardon me, and he's gonna be taking on to that point guard role until Kyrie comes back, and that's just another piece that you have off the bench when Kyrie comes back. For the playoffs. So great addition for Dallas, and obviously him, with the roster that the Mavericks already have, which is a very exciting roster. I believe it's gonna be interesting to see what these guys can do in the Western Conference next season. But great move for the Mavericks. Another winner of this NBA free agency, like I was saying, the Denver Nuggets, getting Cameron Johnson from the Brooklyn Nets, like we stated earlier. I love this move for the Nuggets because Cam Johnson is pretty much at this point a similar or better version of Michael Porter Jr., but at a lower cost, and also he's a better defender than Michael Porter Jr. He's not as deadly on the three ball like Michael Porter Jr., but he's a very good three-point shooter. Can play defense, can cut a little bit, has a pretty decent jump shooting as well. So I like that move for the Nuggets. I love them getting Jonas Valanciunas as well because now you have a competent big who can help Nikola Jokic rest a little bit more when he needs to rest, or when he's out for a game or two, especially in the playoffs now, or even in the regular season. You can comfortably sit Jokic for 10-15 minutes in the game, depending on how the game is going, and you still have a competent guy coming off the bench to replace him. I love this move for the Nuggets. I know Valanciunas was supposed to be maybe going to Greece, but they came out and said they're not moving away from him. Excuse me. They also got Bruce Brown back from Toronto, which is another move that I love for them. He knows the system. Won a championship with them. I think he's gonna just go right back into the into the mix and will be productive for them. And they also get Tim Hardaway Jr., who is a very good three-point shooter, spacing the floor for Nikola Jokic. I think they gave enough ammunition to Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray right now, and I love that depth that they added to that team. That was one of the biggest issues last year, especially when they faced the Oklahoma City Thunder. You add 4 competent players to this roster, and let's not forget that the first-round pick from last season, Darren Holmes, who is a pretty solid power forward / center, who was hurt all last season, is also coming back this season. So that's a 9-10 rotation players there that could really be impactful. So I have high expectations also for the Nuggets. They're definitely title contenders and will be probably the biggest challenger for the Thunder, along with the Dallas Mavericks, I believe, in the East, bearing any in the West, bearing any injuries. So I love that move for the Nuggets again. Let's not forget that they still got Julian Strother out there, Peyton Watson that got another year under the belt. I think it's time for them to just move off of Zeke Naji as well. But we'll see what they do. But great job at the new front office out there in Denver, and I'm loving this move for them. The Detroit Pistons also made a great addition with Duncan Robinson, bringing an additional shooter to Kate Cunningham to manipulate the defense with. I love that move for them. Also, Karis LeVert, who is a competent backup point guard. I think the Pistons is definitely going to be a team to deal with in the East next season, and I love that move for them. The Golden State Warriors have been very quiet, haven't done much on the offseason. I think they're still struggling with trying to figure out what they're doing with Jonathan Kuminga, whether they re-sign him or if it's a sign and trade, and I think that's what's really going to determine what the offseason of the Warriors is going to look like. So that's really what's putting this team on hold for now, and we'll see what happens. The Rockets, like I said, another big winner of this NBA free agency, getting Dorian Finney-Smith from the Lakers. Great addition to the Kevin Durant move already and the roster that they had. Re-signing Jabari Smith Jr. to that good contract. Getting Clint Capella back. Now you have three competent center in Alperen Sengun, Steven Adams, and Clint Capella. Depending on how you want to play, and they could play as big as they want with Amen Thompson as a point guard, even if they wanted to. So I forgot Houston when I was talking about the biggest challengers of the Thunder in the West. Houston is definitely going to be in the mix as well. I love all the moves this offseason, and they also pretty deep, from Fred VanVleet to Finney-Smith to Kevin Durant, Sengun, Steven Adams. If Reed Shepherd is able to take a leap and be the deadly shooter that he was in college, that's another addition for them. Amen Thompson, Clint Capella, they still got Tari Eason. They did move away from Cam Whitmore, which is something that I didn't expect, because I think Cam Whitmore is still a talented player, but I'm assuming they're just like the other wings that they had. More, I would have given him one more year maybe and see what he got, but that's just the job of the front office. You make some moves and you live with them. So I love that the moves that the Rockets have done. This is really great for them. The Pacers, on the other end, crazy turn of events with Miles Turner being traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, and basically leaving not traded, but as a free agent, and him basically leaving the Pacers for nothing. I didn't expect that. I thought they were gonna be okay with, paying the luxury tax this season, but it wasn't the case with the front office and the ownership group. But I'm assuming the injury of Tyrese Halliburton probably put things in perspectives out there again. They did acquire Jay Huff, who is also a stretch big, but I don't know about the Pacers next season anymore, guys. Even with Tyrese out, they're a pretty deep team, but it was already a struggle with Tyrese out, but now I think they might just be also punting the season and try to get back when Tyrese comes back. I was really expecting them to re-sign Miles Turner, but I guess they decided to go another direction. The Los Angeles Clippers re-signed James Harden and bring in Brook Lopez. Great addition for them as well. Stretch big who could shoot the three, can still block shots. Good backup option for Ivica Zubac, but also could play the four with Zubac in the lineup. So I like this move for the Clippers. He's already coming and joining a team that was pretty good in terms of defense last year, and Van Gundy out there coordinating the defense. So I love that move for the Clippers. The Los Angeles Lakers let Dorian Finney-Smith walk and get Jake LaRavia. I'm not sure what the Lakers are doing also. They do get DeAndre Ayton in free agency after him being bought out by the Portland Trail Blazers. I think this is the last chance for Ayton to sign a big contract. You got Luka and LeBron James out there. You just need to go and do your job as a big, being able to be a lob threat. being active on defense, getting rebounds and blocking shots, and you would surely make a great career with the Lakers. But he needs to take advantage of this last opportunity. After this one, I don't think he gets a max contract again unless he's super productive, and he's still very young, a former number one pick. I think you need to go ahead and take advantage of Luka Doncic and LeBron James being the primary ball handlers out there. So I hope he's able to, revamp his career. But I still have some doubts about DeAndre Ayton signing with the Lakers. So we'll see what it looks like. The Memphis Grizzlies re-signed Jaren Jackson Jr. And Santi Aldama. They get Ty Jerome as a backup guard for Ja Morant as well as Cam Spencer. I like these moves for the Memphis. We'll see what it looks like with Gigi Jackson also coming back next season. So it's gonna be interesting to watch. The Miami Heat did re-sign Davion Mitchell and get Simone Fontecchio on the roster from Detroit. I don't know, guys. I don't have high expectations for the Heat. Maybe they do some other moves, but we'll see what the rest of the offseason looks like for them. And it's the same feeling for the Milwaukee Bucks as well. They do get Miles Turner, like I said before, and re-sign Kevin Porter Jr. and Bobby Portis. But Gary Trent Jr. is the primary ball handler right now. They did get Gary Harris as well, but I don't know. I think in terms of backcourt and the guard depth, this is not good enough, and you can't just. This is too much reliable offense on Giannis. What was the terminology now? Cut and stretch or whatever the case it was. I can't remember exactly. With Damian Lillard, I don't know. I would have kept him instead of having him on my books for the next 5 years at $22 million in dead money. I would have just eaten that one more year, and then next year see how he responds back from his injury, especially because he was gonna be on an expiring contract and you could move him easier. I don't think the acquisition of Miles Turner necessarily moves the needle that much for the Bucks. The Minnesota Timberwolves pretty much just extended the guys Naz Reid and Julius Randle. Didn't do much there. The New Orleans Pelicans acquired Kevon Looney. It's becoming a logjam out there in terms of center, but good acquisition. Looney is a good rebounder and a good facilitator as well, and could be a good vet for the young centers out there with Yves Missi and Derek Quinn. So the New York Knicks do get Jordan Clarkson and Gershon Yabusele from the Sixers. I'm pretty disappointed by the Sixers letting Yabusele go to the Knicks, especially for barely $6 million. I saw a clip of Yabusele basically saying the Sixers lowballed him, and that's a great addition for the Knicks. A player that fit their style of play with, playing with heart and playing hard. Same with Jordan Clarkson. These are players that fit the Knicks mold. These blue collar players, and I love that for them. Both players could shoot the three pretty decently and can rebound the ball a little bit too. So, those are two depth pieces for the Knicks, and I love it for them. I think it's gonna add on to the depth that they've lacked off last year, and I think Mike Brown is gonna be able to utilize them properly. I love that for them. The Oklahoma City Thunder didn't really make any moves, so we're gonna skip them. Besides, extending Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the Magic did get Mo Wagner back. We already spoke about Desmond Maiden signing with them, so I love that. They do get Tyus Jones, great backup point guard for the Orlando Magic, who could also start, and he's a very good point guard, especially his assist to turnover ratio is really good. I love that pick for the Magic, and they will be a force to reckon with in the East next season as well. the 76ers did get two front court players which they were desperately in need of in Trenton Watford from New York and Jabari Walker also from the Portland Trail Blazer on a two-way contract. I love both picks. Low risk, high rewards potentially. Players with big frames that could rebound and decently shoot the three. We'll see what they do, and if they don't pan out, you go ahead and move away from them easily. I still think they need to go for one more good big to complete that rotation here. And I think a guy like Obi Toppin, for instance, would be a target in my opinion. I think if you go with a couple of picks, whether it's 2, 3 second round picks or a first round pick and a couple of second rounds or one with the Pacers, they might budge in and give you Obi Toppin, especially with contracts like Andre Drummond and Kelly Oubre available. I think you need Obi Toppin. He could be a very good starting power forward for the Sixers, and that would be a player that would be targeting or anybody else who can start at the power forward position. But I love those moves for them, not too crazy. So I like that. The Phoenix Suns haven't really done much anyway. There's a lot of rumblings about Bradley Beal also being stretched, just like the Milwaukee Bucks did with Damian Lillard. So we'll find out soon. The Trail Blazers also, after the Drew Holiday trade, have been pretty quiet. So not much to say on their end. The Kings, however, do get Dennis Schroeder, Darius Saric, and I love both moves. It's not as if they have a great goal anyway. They're probably gonna be middle of the pack in the East. In the West. So good addition, good backup point guard who could also start for them. Not much to say there for the Kings. They just need to figure out what they do with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan out there too, and probably just embrace, rebuild out there or retool around them as Sabonis. The Utah Jazz also didn't really do much besides their draft pick, so we don't have much out there also. And last but not least, like I said, Cam Whitmore getting traded to Washington. Actually, this could be last but definitely least as well, because I think the Washington Wizards are also not necessarily in a good spot. Anyways, it's a rebuild on their end, and it should be all about developing the young players and making sure that they get better. I forgot the San Antonio Spurs. They did get Luke Cornett, which I think is a great addition. You have two big centers now with Victor Wembanyama and him, and I think they could both play. If you move Wemby to the 4 as well and start Luke Cornett, they could both shoot the 3 a little bit as well. Wemby definitely a better 3-point shooter than Cornett, but Cornett gives you that size and that rebounding ability as well. And he got a pretty soft touch around the paint. So I love that move for the San Antonio Spurs too. And that's pretty much all I have for you guys for this show, for this episode. And once again, subscribe to the channel, share the video among your community, and I'll catch you guys at the next episode. Thank you.